Welcome back to the Mid-Year Mitch YouTube channel. Today's episode, I'm going to show you what steps you need to take to rebuild your C2 Corvette floor to make it fit a Roadster Shop Spec 7 chassis, and I'm also going to make it look like an N03 big tank Corvette in the process, so be sure to stick around. If you want to come see my 67 Corvette Overkill, come to Corvettes at Carlisle. I should be there Thursday to Saturday. I roughly cut out the rear floor. It's gonna need some tweaks, but I figured let's just get the bulk of it out and then we'll make the adjustments when it's on the chassis. Here's the old floor I cut out, and now I have this cover right here, which is a N03, which originally was in the Z06, then it just became, you could get it in any year, but they only made like 200 original big tank Corvettes, so the gas tank literally would have been behind the seats. It was a 36-gallon fuel cell that was made out of fiberglass. So I've seen a lot of cars that they make their own floors out of steel. They buy the kit from Dynamic, which works really awesome. From what I've heard, it's designed to fit this chassis perfectly. I wanted to go a different route, so I bought that tank cover, and I'm going to use that tank cover just to cover all of this up. So I have the gas tank cover mocked up with a 3-inch wider wheel tub, so it's like mini tubbed. And then I also had to recess the tub into the gas tank cover itself a little bit. I had to delete on this flange and cut into it a little bit. But I do need to put some reinforcements on the underside of this because that took a lot of the stiffness out. So I have to put some bracing underneath this. This adds an incredible amount of strength, but now I need to add some of that to the rest of the tank. I finished the reinforcements on the bottom of the tank cover, and this really stiffened it up a lot. That was a good repair. Used some good old geometry. There's nothing stronger than a triangle, so I made a nice cross section. There's about 4 layers of fiberglass in here, so it's nice and stiff, way stiffer than it was with the original lip. And I went and scuffed everything up, so now it's ready to glue in the car. So I'm going to glue it on this back edge. So I'll give you one last look at the chassis while you can still see it through the car. But I went through and scuffed up all around that rear wall. Now, normally people don't like to use screws when you do this, but originally these covers were screwed in place. So I'm actually gonna leave bolts in place. I'm gonna use self-tappers right now, but I'll eventually replace them with bolts with a little bit bigger head just to make it look a little more authentic. So I'm going to glue it across that bulkhead in the back. I have the main section of the rear floor installed. I glued it along the back, screwed it in place, put a little glue down here in the corners, and then I put some rough fiberglass over it just to hold it in place, and that cured up nice. I also poked a little hole in here so that way I can see where the drive shaft is and I can start mocking the stuff up because that needs to go. But I also put some filler on my wheel wells and I got them pretty well roughed in. They look pretty darn good, for now at least, but now they're ready to install. So I trimmed the bottom off because I'm not using them in the original manner, and I made some more of this 90-degree fiberglass channel. This is 2 layers of fiberglass. What I'm going to do is cut a notch in it to clear this recess, and I'm going to glue this piece of fiberglass underneath this tank cover, one that'll help add a little more strength to that area because we'll have this nice lip. But once this cures up, I'll leave it clamped in place overnight. I'll take that off and I'll trim this lip so that way it fits the wheel tub, but then that'll allow me to position the wheel tub exactly where it needs to go and give it a nice lip to hang on, rather than me trying to put fiberglass underneath it and have it just fall off and make a mess. So that'll allow me to position the wheel tub exactly where it needs to here, because this is the gap I care about the most. So the floor is wrapping up nicely. I have the main cover installed. I glued it in the back, fiberglassed it in the front, and then I went and made some little angled fiberglass flanges that I put on the underside of the tank to reinforce and to make it easy to mount the wheel houses too. So I just went and glued those, and I just used my panel adhesive, and then I ran my finger across the top just to get a fairly decent surface. And I had to delete on one of the identifiable 67 features, the e-brake handle, because to have that handle, it really stepped the tunnel down, and because it stepped down, the rear end yoke was going to run right into the top of the floor. So I'll have to end up probably raising this up to be flat. So I finished fiberglass on the underside of the car. I had to make these couple little patches up here. I just used existing parts of the car to fill in these holes, and they all turned out nice and solid. This floor is really stiff, especially from where we started from with these extra braces, and just the overall geometry of this floor really stiffened it up. And I'm happy with the way this looks. So now it's time to protect this. I'm not gonna go for a fully beautifully painted underfloor treatment. I'm just gonna go ahead and give this a quick scuff, knock off some of the highs and a couple of little strings real quick. I'm gonna clean it real good. Then I'm gonna come in here with bed liner and just shoot the whole underside of the car with bed liner. So using bed liner serves multiple purposes. One, it helps blend everything together and protect the fiberglass because I have lots of sanded areas. Oil and dirt can get into the fiberglass and really make a mess out of that. So it needs to be protected. It'll also protect you against stone chips, help quiet it down, and it might also take out some of the drum effect to it. It may add a little bit of dampening. So I did one final mock-up of the body on the chassis now that I have the drive shaft in here, and I wanted to show you guys what it looks like. So the drive shaft actually goes a little bit uphill from the transmission to the rear end just because the car is channeled. So this is a stock tunnel from a 63, and you can see with it sitting on the floor that right now the drive shaft will be going through the back of it. So if you have a 63 to 6, you have a little bit of modification. 67, you'll have quite a bit of modification. So what I'm going to do is take this piece, and all I'm going to do is trim it so that way it ends up going in the car like this, and I'll splice it in just like that. So this line up here will be my new height that this will go at. I need to do some more trimming in here. I also need to put a little pie cut in here and pull this part of the floor back just to make some more drive shaft clearance. I really don't like how close that is. This is where I'm going to end the video off. I think I've made enough progress on the floor. There's still a lot of little stuff to do. I need to get the center part of the tunnel actually glued in and fiberglassed in. That's going to take some tweaking just to get it to fit the way I want it to, so I'm going to leave that for later. I have all the floor braces and seatbelt reinforcements riveted in, so that way the floor is a lot stiffer and we can actually mount the seatbelts and seats properly. I still have a lot of blending to do in the area where I had to put some little patches in, so I'll come back with some fiberglass and Duraglass or Fiberall and just fill all that stuff in. This is nice and strong back here. This is a good solid floor now. It's got real big wheel tubs, so everything is looking pretty darn good. It's getting pretty close to, well, it's getting pretty close to paint. I just need to do a little bit of body work, do some blending here and there. But overall, it's looking good. The original tankers weren't all that pretty back there, so I'm not going to spend a bunch of time making mine look really good back there. Whenever the car's on the chassis, I'll go and grind and blend all this and fiberglass that and make it look real good, make sure it's strong. And I still need to modify this opening for the shifter reinforcement plate, so I also have to do that. But that's a pretty good start. This was probably the biggest hurdle of the build, was just building this floor. And if this is something you're not comfortable with, someone else can definitely custom make one, or you can just buy the real nice kit that Dynamic makes. They make several kits actually for different chassis or different, whatever kind of build you're doing, they probably have something for you. So check them out if you don't want to make your own floor. There's nothing wrong with not making your own floor, but this is turning out pretty sweet. So that's where I'm going to end off the video, and in the next video you get to see a brand new chassis. But that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. That does it for the floor. There are quite a bit of modifications. That was one of the biggest time-consuming parts of the car to get it to fit the chassis and the wheel and tire that I wanted to run. I don't know if you can see behind me, but I have the chassis fully assembled with the engine in it. So that'll be in the next video. You're going to have to wait to see that. But the body's going to be going on the chassis very soon, and we should be able to get it running in about a week or so. So there'll be a lot more videos till then that you're gonna have to wait for, but these videos will be coming quick, so buckle up. We got a lot of work to do, and I'll catch you guys later.